A warm good morning to everyone gathered here. I would request all the students and faculty to kindly be seated, and a polite request to switch off your mobile phones, please, or put them on silent mode. So, on the day 2 of the National Conference, Indian Languages as a Family and Architecture of Oneness, I, Anupama Hasija, welcome you all, sir. That you've spared time for us to enlighten our students and faculty as well. As is our tradition, we'll start the event with invoking Goddess Saraswati. So kindly, please proceed for the lamp lighting. Banduni sir, I would request all the faculty present here.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा। शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचारसारपरमा आद्यां जगद्व्यापिनीं वीणापुस्तकधारिणीम् अभयदां जाड्यान्धकारापहा।
Thank you, sir. Kindly be seated. Although I'll request you to rise again because our tradition is to begin with University Kulgeet.
जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का लोक अनुपम
श्रेष्ठ सुंदर दिव्य दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय विहंगम
जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का लोक अनुपम सकल वसुधा निज कुटुंब की भावना संस्कृति सनातन आधुनिक शिक्षा पुरातन ज्ञान धाराओं का संगम
देश की स्वाधीनता हित भूमिका शतकोटि वंदन
निष्ठा धृति सत्यम के मंगल दिव्य भावों का समागम
जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम
भव्य महाविद्यालयों के परिसरों से चिर सुशोभित श्रेष्ठ गुरुजन कर रहे नित्य छात्र और छात्राएं दीक्षित
सदचरित्राचार पावन साधना संकल्प संयम
नवल वैश्विक चेतना नव क्रांति संस्कारों का उद्गम जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का लोक अनुपम।
श्रेष्ठ सुंदर दिव्य दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय विहंगम।
जयति जय जय जयति जय जय ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम।
ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम।
ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम।
ज्ञान का आलोक अनुपम।
Please stay put for Vande Mataram too. Thank you. So, once again, I warmly welcome you all for the day 2 of the National Conference on Indian Languages as a Family and Architecture of Oneness. And I take the pleasure to initiate the plenary session on insights from collected studies on Bharatiya Bhasha Parivar, Perspectives and Horizons. Sir, I would like to request you to be seated on the dais. I would invite Professor Naresh Annam, Professor Dr. Bapuji Mendel. Thank you, sir. So, as we know that Indian languages, they bind us all. Among the diversities, we all are one. And we have been enriching ourselves since yesterday by listening to the dignitaries and their words of wisdom. And today, in continuation to that, we would actually start with an online dignitary. He's Dr. R. Chandrasekharan. He's the director, Central Institute of Classical Tamil. It's an autonomous body, and he has a huge list of educational qualifications. He is a PG, MA in Tamil, history, sociology, political science, philosophy, and religion, yoga, an MPhil in Tamil, PhD in Tamil, and he's also done another PhD in devotional literature. So I think it's going to enhance our wisdom on the literature, on Tamil literature, as well as how these languages are connecting the dots to make us one. So I would invite Dr. R. Chandrasekharan sir to join us online and deliver his talk. So, we all have been enriched by Dr. Chandrasekhan sir's uh, lucid presentation. Although he's yet to complete. Thank you so much, sir. So we all have been virtually to Tamil Nadu and coming back from Chennai. How he has cited the great poets like Subramanyam Bharati, of all we have heard of him, we all have heard a lot. But how his poems could create an interlinkage between culture, environment, and the people, put them in one string. It is not that today we are talking of languages as oneness. It was always there in our culture, in our tradition. It is only that we are kind of reaffirming it. So I would request my two other speakers to kindly take the dais, Dr. Naresh Annam and Dr. Mendem Bapuji. And this is the time to felicitate them. So I would request I would request IQAC convener, Professor Banduni sir, and Association President, Dr. Mukesh ji, and Dr. Jyoti Arora, kindly please come forward to felicitate the dignitaries who've spared so much time, come for kind of sharing their thoughts on the languages, creating oneness in the country. Jyoti? So let us put our hands together to welcome the dignitaries. Thank you, sir. Banduni, sir. Sir, you stay here only? Sir, you stay here only? Sir. Sir, Banduni, sir, stay here only to welcome him also. Nidhi, please come. प्रशांत जी आप आ जाएं. राजेंद्र जी प्लीज. Rajinder ji, please. So it's an honor to all of us that you have spared your valuable time to share your thoughts with us. So let's put our hands together. Thank you so much, sir. So here we begin the plenary session, which is running a bit late. So I would request my next speaker to take care of the time. So Dr. Naresh Annam is an academician and translator. Currently, he is a professor at the Center for Applied Linguistics and Translation Studies, University of Hyderabad, and also serves as Deputy Dean. Prior to this, he worked as an associate professor at CALTS and assistant professor at the Department of English, University of Agricultural Sciences in Bangalore. He's done his master's in English from Osmania and MPhil and PhD from the University of Hyderabad. He's published and presented many research papers and translations on national and international platforms. He is a panel translator and regular resource person for National Translation Mission, Mysore, Bharatiya, Bhasha Samiti, CSIR, NISCPR, Government of India. Dr. Naresh has translated Pedibhutla Subramania's short stories and Rachapalem Chandrasekhar Reddy's Mana Navalu Mana Kathanikalu into Hindi for Sahitya Academy, Government of India. And he's also translated the selected poems of Mrigana into English. He has translated the script of biography of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and script of cultural mapping of India into Telugu for Sahitya Academy, and he has also translated the National Professional Standards for Teachers document into Telugu for National Council for Teachers Education, Ministry of Education, Government of India. He's edited and vetted the manuals of translation project of Food Security Standards, Authority of India. He has also edited Translation in India, Post-Independence Perspectives, co-authored workbook on comprehension and communication skills, and co-translated Mrigana, anthology of poems into Kannada. So the list is so long that I think I will take more time. It's better that I should leave this podium for you and you directly connect to the audience. We are impatient to hear you, and thank you so much, sir, and warm welcome again. Please.
Namaste. No response? Namaste. Namaste, I said in Telugu, right? Namaste, namaskar. So that's how we connect each other. Good morning, respected faculty members here, and my co-speaker, and my dear students. So you look very dull. Are you all dull? No, yes, you're all enthusiastic, right? Okay, so PPT, is that fine? Huh. So we'll in the meantime, so we know about these two books, right? And one book is Bharatiya Bhasha Parivar. So we have been talking about this book since yesterday, right? The background of that is NEP 2020, chapter 22, talks about promoting Indian languages, arts, and culture. So based on that, Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti was established in 2021. Since then, it has been doing a lot of work with reference to promotion of Indian languages. So when it comes to us, we are a multilingual country. Do you all agree? Yes. So that is the unique feature of our country. So, and how are we connected? So how this multilingualism helps us to connect with each other? Because I come from, down south, right? But still, we have some kind of, affinity or shared tradition. That's very important, either whether it is visible or invisible. Maybe sometimes I may not be able to, speak in Hindi, but still I can, connect. But my Hindi is manageable, but not in official platforms, right? So that's the thing. So my topic for today's discussion is how translation connects us. What is the role of translation? Translation as a catalyst in promotion of language, It's not working. Okay. Promotion of language, literature, and culture. So, because language is never in isolation. When we talk about language, we also talk about literature, we also talk about culture. So, these three are very much interconnected. So, when we say that the unique feature of our country is multilingualism, this multilingualism happens, where does it happen actually? So it actually happens, it starts from our mind, right? So if I ask a question like how many of us are translators here, or how many of us can translate, raise your hands.
We have a genius sitting here.
Okay, only one. But to be frank, all of us are translators. We translate, in our regular course or day-to-day life, isn't it? Because our thought process happens in our mother tongue, then we try to communicate either in the same language or in the other language. So one of the Western scholars who was a Nobel laureate, so he talks about translation. Translation is translation of translation. So his name is Octavia Paz. So people from English literature may know what is translation. Translation of translation, because your idea itself is original. From there you are expressing it either in the written form or in the speaking form. So there you are actually doing one kind of translation, and that again is translated into other language or in the same language. If you want to put it in Western framework, you can call it as intralingual translation, interlingual translation, or intersemiotic translation. So these are different types. But ultimately speaking, in a multilingual setup, translation becomes the catalyst. This becomes the platform where it actually connects the people, whether linguistically and then literature and also culture. So next slide, please. So it's not moving. It is for you actually, so that if you look at the screen, maybe we can have your focus. Otherwise, same things. You will get the same words: Bhasha Parivar, multilingualism, multiculturalism, all these things. So now that we know about the importance of translation, so but what are the activities that are being happening in India with reference to translation, right? And how does this translation help us in bringing our languages, literatures? So you can see that. So now that we know about this, so now what happens is in this country or our country, we have a lot of races, castes, languages, religions, and cultures. Though we say that there are many, but we also know that they coexist. It is not only coexistence, they also co-evolve. We learn from each other, right? We practice certain traditions, we share certain traditions. For example, harvest festival, for example, you take that, we celebrate it as Sankranti in Telangana, Andhra, and Pongal in Tamil Nadu, and in with a different name in Assam, different name in West Bengal, right? So now that the celebration, the spirit is common, you are celebrating it with different names. So now what happens is every language, every culture, every literature is distinct, there is no doubt about it, but we are also interconnected. So that is the ultimate reality that we should we should realize. So now what happens is there is existence, but at the same time there are situations where we connect to each other and we are flourishing side by side. So that is the ultimate thing that we can observe. So now that, what is the role of translation in a multilingual country? So we know that translation is not new to us. As I told, since we are a multilingual country, so it happens in our day-to-day life itself. We engage ourselves in translation activity just like that. So whether you do it formally or informally is a different thing, but the activity is happening. And translation practice is not new. If you look at the ancient literature onwards, so we have been practicing. For example, how this translation helps, I can tell that Telugu literature started, the actual writing started around 9th 10th century. The first literary work was by Nannaya. Nannaya translated, he never used the term translated, he said that Anushrujana, that is transcreated. So that itself became the base for Telugu literature. So where did our, because all of us may not be able to read Sanskrit, so but we all know about Ramayana and Mahabharata and all this. How are we aware of it? Because these books or these texts were made available in our own languages, so that helped us to connect, right? So for example, there are more than 1,000 versions of Ramayana, right? AK Ramanujan talks about 300 different Ramayanas. So now what happens is, through translations we are connected. So, and all these ancient, sacred and other texts, classical texts, are made available in different Bharatiya languages. That is the important thing. And sometimes through translation itself, translation became a base for the literature to grow up. One example I talked about is Nannaya's Mahabharata translation or transcreation into Telugu. So this is one important thing. Likewise, if you look at Kannada literature, if you look at in Malayalam, they call it as Kalipattu Ramayanam. So, and of course we have different versions that are available. So that's the thing. So now, so what is this Bharatiyata? Bharatiyata is a dynamic interplay of different cultures coming together and diverging. This is the very, very important thing. So what I mean to say here is, we look different but we connect, right? So it is not that they are we have a shared kind of tradition that actually brings us together. So that's the important thing. Next slide please. I think the slides are not moving. Yeah. So now that, so as I told, though we have official state languages, so we never confine ourselves to one particular language. Though Telugu is the official language in our state, so we go beyond that. So we don't confine ourselves to the geographical boundaries when we speak language, right? So if you look at the language contact zones where there are 2-3 languages that are spoken, so it means that, so the geographical boundaries does not, or they do not confine or make us rigid about the language learning or language speaking. So that is the very important that we should realize. That's why I think many of us sitting here can speak more than one language. So other than our mother tongue, we also speak other tongues, right? So mother tongues plus other tongues. So these things are very, very important. And now, what is the role of translation here? Translation plays the role of a catalyst in countering the hierarchical relationships. So why hierarchical relationship? Because we don't follow the binaries. If you look from the, again, Western perspective, so they have the binaries, like you have in post-colonial literature we talk about master, slave, colonizer, colonized, and all that. We never look at the binaries. So what is for us, source text and target text both are important. And when you are translate from one language to other language, X language to Y language, which language is superior? Right? Both languages are same, they are equal. There is no bossism, there is no hierarchy among languages. And through translation, for example, when you translate from Hindi to Telugu or Telugu to Kannada or whatever, both these languages, the source language and the target language, both are equal. There is no hierarchy among the languages. So that's what is the important thing we should, because in a multilingual setup, so one language dominance is never talked about, because all are same, right? So for me, the literature written in Telugu is also national literature. Literature written in Hindi is also national literature. All national languages and all languages are national. All literatures are also national, because we are not monolingual, right? So we don't follow that. So multilingual means all languages get equal importance, no hierarchy among the languages. That's why, so no language, no literature, no culture is superior or inferior. So that's why they are on the same pace and same thing. And if you look at the example of Indian literature, right? So what is this Indian literature? Which language in Indian literature is written in? Indian literature is written in all Indian languages, right? Isn't it? It's not written in one language. We don't confine Indian literature to one language, because the spirit of Indian literature is we have common ethos, shared traditions, and all that. That is common. Language maybe it's a medium of expression, but the ultimate, the spirit of Bharat and Bharatiyata is ultimate thing. Whether I express in Telugu or Hindi or other language doesn't matter. So that is what we have to realize. And now, if you look at Sarojini Naidu, she talks about two common things in Indian literatures. One is the mythology, the other is ancient lore. You take any literature, whether take Hindi or take Telugu, Tamil. I think previous speaker was also talking about classic literature, Tamil literature, Sangam literature, and all that. So wherever you look at, so these things are becoming common, and though they look different, the dynamic diversity is celebrated through translation. That's why we have put the translation in three terms: Anuvad, Bhashantar, and Rupantar. This is a very old concept in Indian literature and Indian translation tradition. But Translation studies as a discipline is very young. When you look at 19th century and 20th century, it used to be a sub-discipline of either linguistics or literature departments. But later, of course, it got a interdisciplinary status and all that. But when you look at the Western theories, they talk about intralingual, interlingual, and intersemiotic translations of late in 1960s or 1950s. But we have the concept of anuvad, bhashantar, rupantar since olden days itself. So that's why, because in 9th century, in 10th century itself, Ramayana and Mahabharata was translated, anuvad was done into Telugu, right? So that became a base. So where were our Western theories of translations? They were nowhere. We have been practicing this, but one lagging thing is we had lot of translation practice in India, but unfortunately we could not theorize the translation activities. For example, if you look at the base for translation theories, most of the translation theories were based on the Bible translation. Okay, but we had lot of ancient Sanskrit and classical texts translated in India since 4th century, 5th century Sangam literature time onwards. But where are our theories? That's what we should actually focus on. We should strive for Indian translation tradition. It doesn't mean that we don't have translation theories or translation tradition. We could not popularize it. It happened with many disciplines. Of course, we all know about it. These days we talk about IKS and then we are trying to go back and then highlight those things. But otherwise, same thing happened with translation activities also. And starting from ancient times, we know that Sanskrit literature was translated into different Indian languages. And then, and modern times, initially it was the Britishers into English and from English. The translation happened, English to Indian languages. And later, what happened is now the translations happen among Indian languages. Because, so now that, so in between, there is one concept that we should remember, that is pivot translation. So we should not depend on the pivot translation. For example, if I want to translate from Telugu to into Hindi, I should not take any intermediary language, right? So that intermediary language is known as, if you depend on English, let's say that from Telugu to English through English again into Hindi, instead of directly translating from Telugu to Hindi. So that pivot translation, what happens is unnecessarily you are bringing another language. And if it happens among Indian languages, that is fine. But why should you depend on other languages? That is the question. So we should have as much as direct translations among Indian languages. For example, in geographically proximate places like Telugu, Kannada, lot of translations are happening. But you take from Punjabi to Telugu or from Bengali to Telugu, so Bangla to Telugu, so those translations are happening through the intermediary or pivot translation. So we should focus on such areas. So that is very important thing. Of course, Sahitya Academy is working on that they get award-winning works into different Indian languages. So that is another thing. And next, what happens is even in the medieval age, people like Akbar, so he also had that Maktab Khana, so that was a translation house, so where he got Mahabharata translated into Persian, so in the name of Razmanama. So likewise, there are many translation attempts were happening. So one thing is, there was no practical the theorization of the thing. And now, so when we compare with our own translation tradition with the Western, what happens is they look for the equivalence at the word level. But for us, now that Western theories also talk about translation as rewriting, translation as original. So in 1980s, people like Andrew Lefebvre and Susan Bassett talked about translation as rewriting. But this concept of rewriting is very old to us. We call them as retellings. So that retellings are nothing but rewritings only. So for example, you take the books like Buddhist Prakrit and Pali languages, and Natya Shastra, Malavika Agnimitram, then Abhignana Shakuntalam. So, and you can see here, I talked about Nannaya's Andhra Mahabharatamu. So Andhra Mahabharatam was not actually a true translation. So he used his own creation. He called it as Anushrujana, that is transcreation. You can also see that Bhagavad Purana in Odia, and you can also see the Vikramarjuna Vijaya in Kannada, and this Rajmunama. So they are all actually, we should think whether they are actual translations or transcreations or beyond that. Because most of the times what happens is, we don't follow the true translation method, because we also add our local ethos when you translate. Because most of the writers like Mahabharata, Nannaya himself is a very great poet in Telugu. So we don't confine him as a translator. Of course, translator designation itself is a great work, but in again Western concept, there is a Italian saying that is traditor. So traditor means translator as a traitor. So we are afraid of that traitor concept. So that's why. But otherwise, if you look at, we are free to rewrite, we are free to create one more work. So wherein the local ethos come into picture. So if you look at this, so the local ethos, it means according to your needs, according to your readers, your tailor mading your generation for that matter. So what happens is, for pastime activity, we are more dependent on the OTT platforms, Netflix, Prime, all that, right? So these movies are made in one language now. Now there's no Hindi movie or Telugu movie. Now that we call about only pan Indian movie, right? So most of the movies are pan Indian, because actually that when we say pan Indian, they are not actually pan Indian, because all the pan Indian movies are only in 5-6 languages. So if it is Hindi, then you have Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, and Tamil. So these 4-5 languages. What happens to your Punjabi? What happens to other languages? So now that there should be a situation wherein subtitling and dubbing, because we watch, I think Korean dramas are very famous. So people are learning Korean and all that through translation, the subtitling and dubbing, right? So, but not only that. So this is the responsibility of the Gen Z also. Focus on Indian languages. Even, of course, this is again for what happens is, for commercial purposes, they may create, right, the Pushpa movie, for example, right, Durandar, right, very recent Durandar movie. So it is made available. Now what happens is, previously when Amitabh Bachchan movie used to come, maybe after 1 year or 2 years they used to dub into other languages. So that's how we also watched in Telugu. So now that the same time you are releasing in different languages, now what happens? So there are two ways. One is they are dubbed into local Indian languages, number one. Number two is, so they are also made available through subtitles. So now when you are watching the subtitle, you are actually learning new concepts, you are also learning a new language, you are also getting attracted, or you are getting to know about different culture. I think 2 years ago there was one movie called Kantara, right? So Kantara, the concept of that cultural practices down south in Karnataka, that Mangalore region, so where we didn't know about these things previously, but after watching that movie, people know about what is Panjurli, what is Deva, and what are these practices and all that. So how are they made available? So through audiovisual translation, through subtitling and dubbing. And you can also see that the legendary personalities like Rama and Krishna, so we never see them as translations, right? So because whether I read it know about them in Telugu or other languages, my concept is, yes, personality is important, which language you are using is secondary. So next, so you can also observe one more thing. People like Kalidasa, he wrote in Sanskrit Prakrit Apabhramsha in same text itself, right? So for some characters he used Sanskrit, for some characters Prakrit and Apabhramsha. So now that this multilingual concept was there since olden days itself. So now that there are certain writers who have done it after independence also, people like Raja Rao, right, RK Narayan, and later Amitav Ghosh, the shadow lines, for example, if you take, though it's in English, so the kinship terms he uses are Bangla. So Thamma, Mesha Moshai, Jeta Moshai, such terms that he uses actually. So now there are other writers like from Tamil Nadu also who write in English, but still they use certain Tamil words deliberately, because to express in English, but the English which supports your own language and culture, that is important. So now next, again, one more thing is, what is the advantage of this translation is, literary trend or literary form of a particular language and literature can also be taken to other language. That's how we got into other isms like do I have time now? Some 5 minutes, okay. Because so now literary trends are, for example, we have Bandaya movement in Kannada, so that literally influenced certain form of literature in Telugu. Navya literary movement in Kannada influenced Telugu, and there are writers like Olga, Vimukta and all, which are translated more into Kannada. So the literary trends and literary forms are also there again in a mutual exchange among the languages and literature, that's through translation. And what is the ultimate role of translation is promoting cultural, cross cultural and interregional understanding, dissemination of oral folk tradition. This is one important thing. So where oral folk traditions, they are not sometimes documented. So Burrakatha is one particular example where which is practiced in the border areas of Telangana and Karnataka, right? So there is a bilingual narration that is happening. So there is a kind of dying art there. There are only two performers, so which we could actually document. So what happens is, she used to narrate in Telugu also, again in Kannada also, based on the audience. So likewise, when you document and when you translate into these two languages, so you are actually preserving the culture, preserving the art form also. This is another important thing. And here what happens is, translation becomes an active agent of change. So now, so the role of translation is you are getting connected, you are connecting the languages, literatures and cultures through translation. So that's the important thing. And of course, what are the government initiative? One such initiative you can see here is Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti, so which is Bharatiya Bhasha Parivar, then Asmita, augmented study materials in Indian language through translation and academic writing, then Bharatiya Bhasha Pustak scheme. Then someone sir was talking about technical terminology, because NEP 2020 talks about mother tongue based education, right? So to offer education in mother tongues, we should have the textbooks available in Indian languages, Bharatiya languages. For that, especially the technical terminology availability becomes very, very important, and that is based on which you can actually develop the textbooks, right? So it's not just mother tongue education. To do that, we should have the textbooks available, and to prepare the textbooks, we should also have the terminology which is made available. And of course, the efforts are being done for uniform scientific terminology for Indian languages. And of course, you can also see the Anumadani tool, so which is now you can they have a translation tool called Chutki, so that within this time you can actually translate. So the accuracy levels are also being bettered now these days. And you can also have that NCRT textbook translation. Then the swastik is one important thing, where societally validated, so traditional knowledge, this is very important, that's done by National Institute of Science, Communication and Policy Research. So this is very important, because each state, as I told, every place has its own language, literature, culture, which is unique. So how do I know about that particular culture? So that should be made available. So how, this is one such activity by NISCPR. For example, there's bungas, right? So bungas, where, which state, which state? Gujarat. So if you go to Kutch and that bush regions, so the bungas are a very specific style of the huts kind of thing. They are made locally. So that knowledge should be spread to the other parts of the country, so that we'll come to know. So when I ask bungas, most of us may know about it, may not know about it. This NISCPR has come up with that infographic series. So where infographic series is, you have information in a graphic form. So they are actually posting these things in their Twitter handles and social media platform. This is official government activity by NISCPR. So likewise, you have other active, this one like Sahitya Academy. We know over last past 50 years or so. So it has been getting the works translated into different Indian languages. And you can see certain works from Telugu to Hindi that are mentioned here. So just for the sake of it, I have put. So Kavitvam Gali Rangu, and this is also by Sahitya Academy. Next. This is Vimukta, as I told, is one of the popular works in Telugu. It's, I think, translated into more than some 10 Indian languages, 10 Bharatiya languages. It is available. These are the latest works. And of course, Vishwanath Satyanarayan's Veyi Padagalu is very famous. That was translated by P.V. Narasimha, a former prime minister, who was actually a polyglot, so who could speak some 14-15 languages. So that itself is the example of multilingual. We are talking about it today, but he practiced it very long ago. So next, Godan. Godan is available in Telugu. So right from Premchand's. Next. So then this Aradugula Nela. So that is also translated. And we also know about NBT. NBT is also into the activities of writing and translation of different things. And there's one more thing, National Translation Mission, which is part of Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysuru. So what they do is they call it as knowledge text translation. So they have identified some 60 domains. So these like chemistry, biology, this, that, XYZ. So these textbooks are again translated into different Bharatiya languages. One recent example, I think, is Indian Constitution was translated into Santali language. That was released by President of India, I think, very recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago. So likewise, so we have such activities by NTM. And one more tool that is available is Bhashini. So for translation among different Indian languages, we can observe Bhashini also. You can just try these things, but check for the accuracy levels. So Anuvadani and Bhashini are two tools that are available. Next, please. So then audiovisual translation, I talked about audiovisual translation. So you can see that movies like Pushpa or Kantara, Rocketry or Durandar, all these are now available with subtitles and dubbing. So we don't do them deliberately, but when you watch a movie Kantara, you are actually connecting yourself, or you are trying to know about your fellow culture. So that is very, very important. So AVT has become such important thing. You can also see a lot of dubbed movies and remakes in from Hindi, Telugu. I took the example of Hindi, Telugu, thinking that there are many Hindi speakers here, but otherwise also there are. This should happen, because you should not focus on or depend on the pure translation. Anything directly between Indian or Bharatiya languages is the important thing. You can see certain this one. So this movie you have audio in different languages. You can also see the subtitles, which is available in more than 10 languages. So this helps us to connect to each other. So ultimately, what is the role of translation is, one is for the dissemination and interconnectedness. The next one is, so the platforms like audiovisual or OTT platforms, through subtitling and dubbing we are connected. And so government initiatives are also encouraging the translation activities. So ultimately, so this helps in the linguistic solidarity, developing the linguistic solidarity, because as I told, every language is important. Each language has a different culture, literature, and its own practice. They are distinct, same time we are all interconnected. No hierarchies among the languages, literatures, and cultures. So, and where translation becomes the catalyst. So that's the ultimate concept. So thank you so much. I hope I have not crossed my time. So thank you.
So we are overwhelmed. He made us dive into the ocean, and he actually took us back to where we had left and got lost into translation through a medium which wasn't ours. Yes, sir, you are right. Whenever we see translations, it is through English medium also. And I really appreciate the huge list of examples that you've given. My notes are too long, and I know we are running short. So this I might share you over the cup of tea outside. But the only thing that I liked was translation is translation of translation. So that's a new thing to me, and I am going to use it many a times. And translation helps in linguistic solidarity is the best word and phrase that you gave in the end. So not taking much of the time of the audience, and our third speaker who's around, sir, is there? This is for Dr. Mendem Bapuji. Sir, you're here. So let me give a brief intro, although it's a huge one, but I'll try to sum it up. He serves as an assistant professor in linguistic research unit at Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata. He's a linguist with specialized expertise in descriptive linguistics, language contact and convergence, language documentation, language endangerment, communication disorders, and language teaching. His academic work is particularly oriented towards the documentation and analysis of indigenous and under-described languages of Central and Eastern India, with a strong focus on Dravidian and Janjatiya linguistic traditions. He is an alumnus of University of Hyderabad, and let me come to his accolades. He has been recognized and for his outstanding contribution to Dravidian linguistics, was awarded the Best Monograph Award on Dravidian Tribes by International School of Dravidian Linguistics for his co-authored work titled The Descriptive Grammar of Ullari Gadaba, written jointly with Professor Pancha Mohanty, former professor at Center for Applied Linguistics and Translation Studies. And he has also been awarded with the 52nd All India Conference of the Dravidian Linguistic Association held at Annamalai University in 2025. This honor underscores Dr. Papuji's sustained commitment to language documentation and the preservation of endangered linguistic heritage, particularly within Central India, Indian Janjatiya and Dravidian linguistic studies. So we are all ears, and I am sure my students and faculty members and the guests, welcome to all the new guests who arrived. They all will be enlightened more about the oneness in multiple languages. So please. So we can give him a handheld. Is there some
Good morning, everyone.
caller mic?
I work on the tribal languages of India. Almost 62 tribes I have touched so far, especially in Central India. Central India in Mahabharata is called as a Dandakaranya. Dandakaranya, where Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, this is the area where Rama also has gone through while going to the Sri Lanka. Uh, these are the two books we have been discussing all over India. I am part of contributing the two chapters in this the first book and first paper of the second book also. Now, when everybody said no for the Bharatiya Bhasha family, because already Britishers have spoiled our country and our minds are colonized, and five families have been established. Family is a biological term extended to the languages like Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Munda people. Fourth one is Tibeto-Burman languages. Fifth one is Andamanis. These are the five families established. These five have given a kind of thoughts that we are different from the other, but living in the same piece of land in a single geographical area, but thinking that we are divided. So these Physioperious thoughts have been put forward by the Britishers. So for that, Cham Krishna Shastri ji, Pani Krishna ji, and Bandhuji is here, and all of us have worked for this, bringing out a very monumental work which has been sold 5,000 copies by today, and another 5,000 copies are being in print. So no book in India has been sold in such a way. This is the power of the two books. I request all of you to go through these two books. If you see the historical connection to India, people say that India is nobody's land. Some came from Western India, some came from Eastern India, some from Africa, and some from already there. But how they have come, nobody knows. These are this is how India is nobody's land. Everybody came and it has become homeland, and it has given rise for the migration theories. And at the time, Max Muller, who is a racist belonging to the Hitler genealogy, so this has given a kind of thing that Aryan, 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 and again Dravidian, Dravidian, Dravidian. This is how people have been being colonized by these two terms. East to West, we have never said Hindi language family, Tamil language family, or Santali language family, or Bodo language family. We never told this one. But why Dravidian, why Aryan, why Munda, why Tibeto-Burman? That means we have to think about this one. There is a underlying conspiracy in floating these ideas. Next, if you come to the inspiration, there is a one person called M.B. Emino, Murray Bonson Emino. People say that he is the first one to tell about that Indian language have the commonalities. For example, if you say chai vai, okay, kana vana. If I say same chai vai, chai ledu ghee ledu. In Munda languages, chai chiu. In Tibeto-Burman also same. Concept is same, but the sounds are different. Then how this commonality has come from Kashmir to Kanyakumari? If we are different, if somebody Aryan, somebody Dravidian, why this unity has come into picture? So this has to keep. I'll come to that one. So Emino is the person who told that there are commonalities are there. Before that one, there is from Bengal. One person is there, Sunit Kumar Chatterjee. He is also influenced by the Britishers. He also told that India is occupied by different migration, and but there are commonalities are there. This is what he spoke about. But though many foreigners tried to divide the country, but only single foreigner told that there are commonalities in Indian languages. And I want now I would like to focus on two theories. Madam, how much time you can give me? 10 more minutes. Okay, I can complete this one. I will focus on two migration theories. The first migration theory is how we could recall some of the migration theories. You see, Brahmaputra migration hypothesis. Munda people means Santali, where Draupadi Murmu comes. Savara, Lord Jagannath comes into picture. He is a tribal god. He is not a other god. Born in India and died in India. So we give reverence to that god. I'll come to little later. First one is Munda people migration theory. I will talk about. People say that one is origin, one is migration. Two things I'll speak here. People somewhere originated, from somewhere they migrated to India. This is the theory. First theory is the Brahmaputra migration theory. People say that they are there in Assam border. This is the first person, the blast is the first person. They are in Assam and Brahmaputra border and they came to India. But crossing the Ganges is very difficult, even today. I stay in Kolkata. If you go to the Hubli, Ganges has a different name. So, starting from Bangladesh to India, different name. So, in Kolkata, it is called as Hubli River. But crossing Hubli River is very, very difficult. But how these people crossed to Ganges and came to India? First thing, one has to keep in mind. There are several problems. Munda languages and Kasi are not closely related with this. Okay, they have come from Brahmaputra to India. One language is called Kashi language, which behaves like English language. Its verb is in the middle. So what? But Munda and Kasi are entirely unrelated languages. If they are coming from, why these differences are there? So this is one has to keep in mind. Then Ganges Delta is one of the major barriers in Eurasia. Nobody can cross. Human beings cannot cross because every time it is a perennial river. And prehistorical distribution of Mundaland does not support any entry from Indo-Gangetic plain into the subcontinent. No evidence in India that tells about, no epics or no holy books tells about that these people have come. There is no evidence also. And other proposed homelands of Austroasiatic, one is Bay of Bengal, somewhere in the middle of the Bay of Bengal or on the banks of the Bay of Bengal. Another one, Middle Yangtze, which is there in China. Another one in Mekong. This fellow, Sidwell and Blench, these two persons have floated this idea. And another one is Sagrath also floated. And if you see, these are the four areas. Origin, Munda people origin is one is Bay of Bengal, Assam Brahmaputra, Yangtze and Middle Yangtze. From these places, they have migrated to India, especially into the Odisha. Odisha, there is a beach is there, Gopalpur beach, which is very easy to land the, any people can, who travels the maritime. And proposed migration routes. Now, people told that they have originated from there. Now, if you see the routes, migration routes, Brahmaputra route crosses Patkai range and Ganges Delta without continuing into the Indo-Gangetic. And the migration maritime route, another one, Irrawaddy Delta. This is very important. Irrawaddy is the islands, group of islands which are there in Indonesia. And this person whose name is Paul Sidwell and Felix Rao, these people told that somewhere from Irrawaddy suddenly came to India. And they don't speak about the origin and destination in between. What is the route? And like in Bible you see Jesus Christ appears in the childhood, all and suddenly at the age of 34. In between what happened, nobody knows. In a similar manner, these are all biblical migration theories. And probably situating in Tenangai region, another region, and Isthmus Kora, another region, the Strait Malacca, and finally Red River also. These are the places where they might have come. This is the what they are doing. The first person is Paul Sidwell and Rao. These are the two persons who have spoiled the Indian minds that Munda people are migrated from the Irrawaddy Islands. Claim one, Proto Munda homeland is situated in Mahanadi Delta. If you look at Mahanadi in Odisha, where Hirakud Dam is there, no tribal person is there. But what he is speaking, they are there settled in the Mahanadi Delta. That is Sambalpur, Katak, Puri area. Then Proto Munda spoken by rice and millet growing culture. You please listen, rice and millet growing. If you see the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa civilizations, they wrote that one very simple sentence. These are the people settled in with agriculture. If they are settled with agriculture, then what they are telling, rice and millets are brought by the Minna people. Now this is contradicting again. So we have to keep in mind very importantly. And can we call the Indus people as the Munda people? Again, people will beat us who are leftists. They will come and criticize us. And again, claim two. The Southeast Asian pre-Munda reached location via maritime route through Bay of Bengal, unknown jump. That means they are also not clear. Somewhere they jumped into India. And brought rice and agriculture, cattle, buffalo and their land. Have you ever seen a buffalo bringing in a small boat? It definitely will sink out. All people will die. Cattle were brought up to India. Because I'll give you one evidence. Munda people never drink milk. They hate milk. Why? What is the evidence? In Jagannath temple in Puri, they never offer milk to Jagannath. Never and ever. Because milk is hated, very much hated by the Munda people. This is also evidence that they did not bring the cattle from there. And a discussion, the Munda people never take milk. And however, it is possible to carry, livestock, like Noah theory is there in Bible. That is also all animals are loaded into ship and ship has gone somewhere and stayed and became that. This supports that one. And you see, these are the routes, but not one route, multiple routes are there. How we will believe this one? And if you see discussion, another important question has to pose by boat. If they are coming from Irrawaddy Islands through boat, then I have got and I started doing research on Munda languages. Then what I have found out, a survey was made with the leaders of the people, you see, Guto, Gatava, Gedai, Sora. And these are the people, Dandamaji, Katre Bisa Juvan, Dinabandhu Gamango, and Birsa Munda's grandson also I have met. And all the languages, Sora, Dedai, Guto, Santali, Mundari, Jurai, Juvan, Bonda. Bonda is the only community, even today they don't wear the cloth. Very simple cloth is there. And still they live in their old and having their own culture. But there is no single word that is called donga, 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 donga. Nauka. Nauka means ship. It has become lauka. Then padava. In Telugu is borrowed. And again Torah, Bungsang. What is Torah and Bungsang? If you look at Torah and Bungsang, these are the palm tree trunk. They made as a just eating plate for the pigs. And second one, you see the down one. This is also the name of these two are called as the Torah or Bungsang. So there is no word for boat. If they are coming by the boats through maritime to India, there is no word for boat in Munda language. And another important thing, no word for the high tide or low tide. No word for the direction. No word for the rows. Then how do we believe that Munda people have come from Indonesia to India? It's very all trash. Another very important thing is that one, they don't have a word for the fish. They use the word called mean. In some of the language, mean is there. So it is the theory is very trash. The second theory I will discuss is that Aryan migration theory. This theory, the first thing is that Aryans have come only one man. Men came to India, and then when men come to India, if you see Rigveda, Matru Devo Bhava. Nobody will adore somebody else's mother. Instead of they adore their own mother. But how this guy has come into picture? Yesterday, Saluja sir was speaking about the Shiva was originated in South India. Now, if the South India is originated, then how Shiva becomes the vast land of North India and adoration. If you go to Kashi, okay, Parvati Patiye, Hara Hara Mahadev. How this has come? Not if you utter this word, either South India, North India, or East India, there is no, everybody will use this one. If that is the thing, how this commonality has come into picture, we have to keep in mind. So men has not come; they are there here only. Now, always we think that Aryans have come from Central Asia. Why don't we think from they have come from this place to Central Asia? I will give that evidence also. And Patanjali Mahabhashya, which is very ancient book. In this book, it speaks about the Aryavarta. Aryavarta is there in India. All Indus people, Aryan people, suppose I am using, I should not use this one. All people of India living together. So for certain reasons, these people might have gone to Central Asia, and in linguistics, there is a concept called language are dynamic in nature. That means language changes. Every 15,000 years, language completely becomes different. I'll take another 15 minutes because I can see.
We can listen to the whole video. Please, I'm feeling.
Yeah. So every 15,000 years, language completely changes. Now, why don't we think that Aryan people who are part of the India have gone to Central Asia and came back with the different tongues? You have to think because the remnants are there. If you look at the word kala, kala means black. Okay, that is there in Rigveda. The word pool is again from the people say that is from Dravida. Okay, if it is there, why it is there in Rigveda? So that is the concept. And one day one person asked me, sir, in Zoroastrian religion, there is a concept called Sura and Somarasa. Okay, what do you say about this one? You see in India, each and every village, every corner, we have the profession of extracting the toddy from the palm trees and toddy trees. But if you see the Iraq, Iran, have you ever seen people extracting toddy and where we drink and enjoy in certain occasions, religious occasions? So that is preserved only in India. This is another evidence that these Zoroastrian people also have migrated from India to Central Asia, then gone to Iraq, Iran, and certain Syria areas. And the folk songs. Suppose if I am coming from Karnataka or Kerala to this one Delhi, my generations, I must be thinking someone. My grandfather built their house. Some remnants are there, but in Rigveda, there is no single remnant, single evidence that it speaks about Central Asia. And folk stories also never tell about because Euphrates is there, Tigris is there, but no river discussion is there, no desert discussion is there, and but folk stories all tells about Indra, who is our war god. And cognitive change all on sudden, who came from Central Asia to India, their all cognitive system has suddenly changed. Genetical modification has taken place. No, if you the genetic studies from the CCMB from Hyderabad, it says that 99% of the genetics of India, DNA of India is similar. That means we are all same. No Dravidian, no Arya, no Munda, no Tibetan. All are Indian. That is Bharatiya and Jai Bharat. Okay, so that is why a concept has come into picture. So after the independence, Congress has brought three institutions: CIS, Central List of Hindi, Baroda; CIE, Central List of English in Hyderabad, which later changed to CIEFL. Then again it has become EFLE. And the third one is the Central List of Indian Language, Mysuru. These three for propagation of the three language formula. But Bharatiya Bhasha Samiti, it talks about a single language family, that is Bharatiya Bhasha Parivar. That yesterday Saluja sir was telling, it has the Bharatiya Bhasha Parivar word is rooted in the Rig Veda itself. And finally, another final evidence I will give: horses. The people say, evidences people will say, last one I will discuss. Horses come from the European steppes to India. The genetical evidence was taken. This is for Sir John Marshall, who was the head of the archaeological department head at the time. He told that horses are not found here. These are from the European steppes. But after the Marshall has left, there is a PC Joshi, another person, Kali Bangan, Lothal, and Sarrakot. The excavation taking place. Huge skeletons of the horses have been identified. The very important thing is, European steppes horse skeleton has 36 ribs. How many? 36. But whereas the horses identified here has the 34 ribs. So it is evidential that no one has come from outside to India. We have gone to outside India again in memory, and they are not getting in deserts. They came back to India, and we are one. No division in India. Maybe languages are different. We are not denying that one. But commonalities are there. It will take another hour. I will not discuss now. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bapuji. And if we had enough time, we would have never ever let you stop, because you've enriched us on migration theories, and we being geographers have been teaching it since decades. And you've added the angle of languages to it. You've added the reverse migration theory you told us right now. So this has given us an insight and provoked us to read more on it, and we might take your help in the same direction. So I take this opportunity from Shahid Bhagat Singh Evening College dais and the people who are sitting out here to thank you both from the bottom of our hearts, to enlighten us and for making us think more on the lines that mile sur mera tumhara to sur bane hamara. So it's oneness. We are speaking different languages, but India is known for unity in diversity. Thank you so much. Prashantji, we are proceeding for tea. So let's have a cup of tea and come back to